So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it. It's basically, let me share the image so you can see. Yeah, I'm just going to change the screen. So here we go. Let's get into this now. So this is the article. Let me just try and make that. Yeah, that should be right. Okay, perfect. So this is Wes Streeting. Wes Streeting is in charge of the NHS here in the UK, which is the healthcare for trans people. So he's very important in that side of things. Wes Streeting is criticised for his callous trans women segregation comments in Mumsnet interview. So I did speak about this before, but I'm just gonna go through this quickly and tell you what it's all about and everything. So what's actually happened here? So the UK's Wes Streeting gave an interview on Mumsnet on the 19th of September. He suggested creating a third space for trans women. So he wants a separate from women's single sex facilities. So like toilets and hospital wards. He wants to separate trans people into a separate ward, a separate toilet. Personally, I completely disagree with this. I don't think that trans people should be separated like this. And he feels like this. But what do we know about segregation in history? It's not what we want, is it? He argues this would balance dignity and inclusion for trans people whilst protecting sex-based rights for women. So yet again, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be dignity. It's like you basically pushing trans women to a separate space. So Wes Streeting admits some would call it outrageous, but framed it as a compromise people could live with. So he's saying that, like, for example, we have a separate toilet, for example, for trans women, and that's the toilet we should use. So he wants to segregate us. Days earlier, he had promised at the NHS LGBT plus conference to ensure he would ensure equality, dignity, safety, and inclusion for trans people. So he'd already promised that he wasn't going to do something like this. He was going to be there for us. But the reaction was swift. Critics accused him of promoting trans segregation. Online responses, they called the idea callous and ridiculous. And questions were raised. Where would these separate spaces be? Who would fund them? How would they work in a stretched NHS? Okay, so this is the thing. How it's not just the fact about creating a space. How are you going to pay for this? How are you going to afford to do this? Because the NHS itself is already overstretched. Already doesn't have the funding. It's underfunded. To create an extra ward, to create an extra toilets for trans people would be extremely expensive. Now, I've already said to you that I don't like this and I wouldn't use these facilities. I've already said this. I made this clear. So you build these facilities. For example, you build the extra toilets, right? But I'm already one of the people saying, no, I'm going to use the women's. I'm a woman. I'm using the women's toilets. So I don't use it. Who's going to use it? So I mean, it's going to be like you're going to be very expensive, and then the people you intended it to be used, a lot of them won't even use it. So it probably end up being used by women and men, who wanted to use it, just go to the toilet, maybe, especially the women's. Well, we should really be investing in a bigger women's toilet, to be honest with you. So why does this matter? Well, it's a contradictory message. He promises equality, then suggests segregation. Mixed signs. It risks eroding trust in the government's commitment to LGBT plus committees. So he's already promised these things, but yeah, I don't trust him. I want him out. He's not an ally to trans people. He's not an ally. Creating a third space segregates trans women instead of including them. Yes. Critics argue it undermines the principle that trans women are women. Well, that's the thing, because he doesn't see us as women. He doesn't see us as women. That's why, to him, this is a compromise. For him, it makes sense. He doesn't value trans people as who they say they are. So what else does it do? So it creates problems. The NHS already faces massive shortages. 6.25 million patients on waiting lists already. Buildings and staffing a third space is unrealistic. It's an overstretched system. Yeah, because exactly how are you going to build these areas? How are you going to fund these areas? How are you going to staff these areas? I mean, it's just not realistic. What he's saying is just rubbish. But here's the thing with the political framing. Here's what's important. So Mumsnet is a platform known for gender critical views. So Mumsnet is actually an anti-trans place. So using that to talk these talking points, he's obviously done it to the crowd. He obviously wanted to sound good to them. The fact is, we can all see what he's saying. So saying this to them and undermining trans people is just the wrong way to go about it. Streeting's choice to make these comments there looks like pandering to an anti-trans group whilst trying to appear balanced. But you see, that's it. He's tried to appeal to them. But the fact is, he doesn't. We know. He's not balanced. Bigger picture, debate isn't just about hospital wards or toilets. It's about whether trans people are treated as equal or pushed into separate areas or unequal spaces. So yeah, this is it, and that was my key thing from that. This is why I wanted to bring this up again, because I think it's really important. What he's doing and what he said contradicts what he was saying to us, to the trans community, to the LGBTQ plus community, because he is pandering to the anti-trans group, isn't he? In the United States, bathroom bills like what we've just seen in Texas, and there's plenty more than that in America, try to ban trans people from single-sex spaces. They also try to separate spaces, like so. In America, they're trying to basically erase trans people at the moment. United Kingdom. So Streetings reflects a wider UK trend. Political talking, compromising whilst validating gender critical rhetoric. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing this more and more in the UK. We're seeing more of the politicians moving against trans rights and moving away from supporting trans people. The risk normalizes segregation under the language of balance. Yeah. In Europe, Hungary and Poland have openly hostile to gender ideology laws restricting trans rights. In Ireland and Spain, they are actually strengthening and protecting trans people's rights, integration, and they reject segregation. And so, what about the globe itself? So, the third space argument appears internationally as a supposedly middle ground, but in practice, they often reinforce stigma and create a new barrier. Equality means inclusion, not separation. So, yeah. So, I wanted to just bring this up. I just wanted to mention it one more time because I had talked about it before, but I felt that it was important just to give this one more read through. Basically, he has suggested segregation, and I just think it's very unacceptable being in his position when we really need support. This is the Labour Party. This is a party that's supposed to be supporting, at least for trans people, and it clearly is not. And I will never agree with segregating trans people. I will never say, oh yeah, it's okay for us to have a separate toilet. I'd never use it. You can do it if you want, but I'm still going to use the women's. Whatever laws you put in place, whatever you do, I'm still going to use the women's. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. That's how I feel. Yeah, but feel free in the comments to let me know what you think about this, about what Wes Streeting is doing. Do you think he's doing a good job with the NHS? I don't, and I don't like what he's doing with towards transgender people. Hopefully, it will change.